Let's analyze a simple topic for once: enemy attributes. As we all know, each enemy has their own health, damage output and speed. But there are some attributes you may not have been aware of. Let's go through all of them. Health, this one is obvious. The enemy spawns with a health value, and when it drops below 1, the enemy dies. Speed, the movement speed of an active enemy. Width, the width of an enemy used for collision. Not every enemy fits through a small tunnel after all. Height, this one may sound a bit perplexing because Doom is a 2D or a 2.5D game, right? Or hell, even a 1.5D according to Sandy.
We don't have an upstairs because Doom isn't real 3D, it's like 1.5D.
If that were the case, how come projectiles can fly above your head? Or how come you can jump over items? What about tall enemies being unable to walk into this tunnel? Yeah, height is a thing in Doom and is used for collision. Mass. Mass is used for physics, most notably when you shoot demons. Lighter enemies are knocked back much more than heavy boys. Pain chance. For each bullet, pellet or projectile that hits the enemy, a dice roll is done to determine if an enemy will play its pain animation. Keep note that the amount of damage done is irrelevant. A pistol shot has the same chance as a plasma bolt, but shotguns shoot multiple pellets with each pellet rolling the dice, increasing the odds. Pain time. The amount of time the enemy spends doing its pain animation. There are more attributes out there, but they're not interesting for this video. Most of them have to do with sound effects and state machines, and most of those are covered in the AI video. I highly recommend you to give that video a watch first, as it gives you an insight what stuff like melee and range attack states really mean. Anyway, enough talk, let's check out those enemy stats. The Zombieman, considered the weakest enemy in the game with its very low health, speed and damage output. Health 20, speed 70 map units per second, width 40 map units, height 56 map units, mass 100, pain chance about 80%, pain time around 170 milliseconds, it has no melee attack. Its range attack is a single shot fired from its assault rifle. The bullet deals between 3 and 15 damage in multiples of 3. The maximum horizontal bullet spread angle is about 22 degrees. It can also be jibbed, but for more info on that I recommend to give the jibs video a watch. The Shotgunner, a slight upgrade over the Zombieman, especially in terms of damage output. Health 30, speed around 93 map units per second, width 40 map units, height 56 map units, mass 100, pain chance about 68%, pain time around 170 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. The Shotgunner's attack is, well, a shotgun. The Shotgunner fires 3 pellets, with each pellet dealing between 3 and 15 damage in multiples of 3. That means a single attack can do up to 45 damage if RNG hates you. Each pellet has the same horizontal spread as the Zombieman's attack. The Chaingunner, everyone's favorite big boy hit scanner. Health 70, speed around 93 map units per second, width 40 map units, height 56 map units, mass 100, pain chance about 68%, pain time around 170 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. The Chaingunner's attack is identical to the Zombieman's. Same spread and same damage of 3 to 15 per bullet in multiples of 3. It fires at a rate of almost 8 shots per second. For every 2 shots, the game checks if the target is still in the Chaingunner's line of sight. If not, then stop firing. Although, there's a random chance of about 15% the Chaingunner will ignore this check completely and fire an additional 2 shots even if the target is behind a wall. In theory, if your luck is simply terrible, the Chaingunner could skip the check many cycles in a row and hit you the moment you peek around the corner. The Imp, the most basic projectile hurling enemy in the game. Health 60, speed 93 map units per second, width 40 map units, height 56 map units, mass 100, pain chance about 80%, pain time around 115 milliseconds. The Imp's melee attack deals between 3 and 24 damage in multiples of 3. Its ranged attack is a fireball, which deals the same amount of damage. The projectile travels at 350 map units per second, has a width and height of 12 and 8 map units respectively. When playing on Nightmare, or with fast monsters enabled, the projectile speed is boosted to 700 map units per second. The Pinky, demons that only exist to limit or block your movement. Health 150, speed 175 map units per second, width 60 map units, height 56 map units, mass 400, pain chance about 70%, pain time around 150 milliseconds. The Pinky's melee attack deals between 4 and 40 damage in multiples of 4 and it has no ranged attack. When playing on Nightmare, or with fast monsters enabled, its speed will increase to a whopping 350 map units per second, and the pain time will be halved to around 57 milliseconds as well. People keep asking me why I never use a chainsaw against sterile pinkies. Well, gee, I wonder. The Spectre, same as the pinky, but with an additional invisibility flag set. Other than that, exactly the same as the pinky, so moving on. The Lost Soul, an enemy unique in the sense that it becomes its own projectile. Health 100, speed 47 map units per second, width 32 map units, height 56 map units, mass 50, pain chance 100%, pain time around 170 milliseconds. Technically speaking, the Lost Soul has no melee attack, as it turns into its own projectile when using its ranged attack. The damage dealt by slamming into you is between 3 and 24 in multiples of 3. Their speed when charging is 700 map units per second. The Lost Soul's AI is a bit weird, and its charge attack gets stopped by items laying on the floor. Again, check out that AI video for more info. The Cacodemon. It's an imp, but it flies. Health 400, speed 93 map units per second, width 62 map units, height 56 map units, mass 400, pain chance 50%, pain time around 345 milliseconds. Believe it or not, but technically speaking, the Cacodemon has no melee attack. Yes, it can bite you, but that's only because you were too close when it was going for its projectile attack. There's a reason why demons that do have a melee attack you constantly when you're in their proximity, and Cacodemons don't. Its chomp attack deals between 6 to 60 damage in multiples of 6. But lacking a melee state actually alters the Cacodemon's range attack in a way. I have mentioned it in the AI video. If an enemy lacks a melee attack, it will use its ranged attack more frequently than demons that have both a melee and ranged attack. In a way, this makes Cacodemons more aggressive than, let's say, a Baron of Hell. The Cacodemon projectile deals between 5 and 40 damage in multiples of 5 and travels at 350 map units per second, has a width and height of 12 and 8 map units respectively. When playing on Nightmare, or with fast monsters enabled, the projectile speed is boosted to 700 map units per second. The Cacodemon is also the only enemy in the game to have 2 pain frames instead of 1. The Hell Knight. It's like an imp, but a bit bigger. Health 500, speed 93 map units per second, width 48 map units, height 64 map units, mass 1000, pain chance about 17%, pain time around 150 milliseconds. Its melee attack deals between 8 and 80 damage in multiples of 10, one of the most devastating attacks in the game. The Hell Knight's range attack deals between 8 and 64 damage in multiples of 8. The projectile travels at 525 map units per second and has a width and height of 12 and 8 map units respectively. When playing on Nightmare, or with fast monsters enabled, the projectile speed is boosted to 700 map units per second. The Baron of Hell, an even bigger imp and pretty much the same as the Hell Knight except for its health, which is 1000 instead of 500. The Arachnotron, a white turret that turns the room into a Japanese bullet hell game. Health 500, speed 140 map units per second, width 128 map units, height 64 map units, mass 600, pain chance 50%, pain time around 170 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. The Arachnotron shoots plasma bolts which deal between 5 and 40 damage in multiples of 5. They travel at 875 map units per second and have a width and height of 26 and 8 respectively. Arachnotrons will not stop shooting until you break their line of sight. Just like Chaingunners, there's a chance they will continue firing even when the target is behind the wall. For every shot, there's around a 4% chance the line of sight check is ignored, so be careful before poking your head around the corner. The Pain Elemental, a rather unique demon which pits Lost Souls to deplete the player of ammo and patience. Health 400, speed 93 map units per second, width 62 map units, height 56 map units, mass 400, pain chance 50%, pain time around 345 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. Its ranged attack spawns charging Lost Souls, and we've covered those already. When playing Vanilla Doom, the amount of spawned Lost Souls is capped at 21. You can also stop Lost Souls from spawning by getting in the Pain Elemental's face. When the Pain Elemental dies, 3 Lost Souls will spawn. Each Lost Soul's angle will receive an offset relative to the dying Pain Elemental's angle of 90, 180 and 270 degrees. Then their positions get shifted towards their angle and immediately call a function to charge at the player. These Lost Souls will die if they spawn inside an entity or wall. But sometimes, when a Pain Elemental dies next to a wall, a sneaky Lost Soul may not collide with anything at all and go out of bounds. The Revenant, another demon that isn't simply a variant of the Imp. Health 300, speed 175 map units per second, width 40 map units, height 56 map units, mass 500, pain chance about 40%, pain time around 285 milliseconds. Its melee attack deals between 6 and 60 damage in multiples of 6. This melee attack is unique in the sense that if the Revenant whiffs, no projectile is shot. Unlike the Imp, for example, if it goes for a melee attack and you back off, it will toss a projectile instead. What makes the Revenant one of Doom 2's mightiest warriors is its ranged attack. The missile deals between 10 and 80 damage in multiples of 10. Again, one of the most devastating attacks in the game. And on top of that, these missiles may chase you. There's a whole video dedicated to what determines the Revenant's missile to be homing or not. So go check that one out too. In short, for each Revenant you encounter, there's a 50% chance the Revenant will mostly shoot guided missiles or mostly unguided missiles. Funny thing is that there's a piece of code telling the Revenant to never fire a missile if it's near its target. This creates a bit of a dead zone where the Revenant chases you without really attacking. That is, of course, until you trigger its pain state, causing it to always retaliate. Revenant missiles travel at 350 map units per second and have a width and height of 22 and 8 respectively. The Revenant's height is also quite misleading. Its height is the same as the zombies, but the sprite is clearly much taller. It's probably an oversight, but this will cause the Revenant sprite to clip through ceilings. Very deceiving. The Mancubus. It's like an imp, but it will frick you up. Health 600, speed 70 map units per second, width 96 map units, height 64 map units, mass 1000, pain chance about 31%, pain time around 170 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. The Mancubus is a very unique ranged attack. It shoots 3 pairs of fireballs. The first pair of fireballs, one will be aimed at you, the other one to the player's right with an 11 degrees offset. The second pair is similar, but one fireball will be shot to the player's left with a 22 degrees offset. The third and final pair will both be aimed at the player's right and left, but with a 5 degrees offset each. It will always fire 3 bursts, even if the target is not visible anymore, or even alive after the first shot. Each fireball deals between 8 and 64 damage in multiples of 8. The projectiles travel at 700 map units per second and have a width and height of 12 and 8 respectively. The Archfowl. You may not like this fella, but come on, it's the best demon in Doom. Health 700, speed 262 map units per second, width 40 map units, height 56 map units, mass 500, pain chance about 3%, pain time around 285 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. Another demon with a very unique ranged attack. It will set the player on fire, and if the player doesn't break the Archfowl's line of sight on time, it will zap the player for massive damage. The initial zap is 20 damage, and then an additional 70 blast damage is applied too. The origin of the blast damage isn't exactly in the center of the player, so it's more like 65 damage on average. Yeah, blast damage is a bit weird. I'll make a video about it someday. The Archfowl can also resurrect enemies, but thankfully not other Archfowls. The Archfowl has so many oddities and mechanics that it has its own video. Go check it out. The Spider Mastermind. A Chaingunner, but more clunky and a bit pathetic in a way. Health 3000. Speed 140 map units per second. Width 256 map units. Height 100 map units. Mass 1000. Pain chance about 13%. Pain time around 170 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. The Spider Mastermind fires a super chain gun. It's pretty much an automatic shotgun which fires 3 pellets per shot. It's actually exactly the same as the shotgunner's attack, just a lot faster. Each pellet does 3 to 15 damage in multiples of 3. The horizontal spread is also the same. She keeps firing as long as you're in her line of sight. Just like Chaingunners and Arachnotrons, there's a chance she'll continue firing for a single cycle even if you take cover. One cycle lasts 2 shots before this check is done. The odds of this happening per cycle is about 4%. Oh yeah, and she's immune to splash damage. She will only take impact damage of rockets, but not the explosion damage. That's why it takes a billion years to kill her with rockets or Archfowl zappings. The Cyberdemon. It's like an imp, but it's freaking huge and it fires rockets. Health 4000. Speed 187 map units per second. Width 18 map units. Height 110 map units. Mass 1000. Pain chance about 5%. Pain time around 285 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. Its range attack is the deadliest attack in the entire game. A single rocket can do between 20 and 160 damage in multiples of 20. This is excluding splash damage, which is around 120 give or take. So the actual damage dealt is between 140 and 280. The rockets travel at 700 map units per second and have a width and height of 22 and 8 respectively. It fires a volley of 3 rockets even when you take cover after the first shot, or hell, even when you're dead he won't stop firing until all 3 rockets are unleashed. Brutal. And just like the Spider Mastermind, the Cyberdemon is also immune to splash damage. That's why it doesn't die from its own rockets exploding next to it. That's all the demons analyzed, but we still got some secret enemies and props to check out. The Wolfenstein SS. He attacks a lot slower than his Wolfenstein counterpart, and only appears in the secret Wolfenstein levels. Health 50. Speed 93 map units per second. Width 40 map units. Height 56 map units. Mass 100. Pain chance about 68%. Pain time around 170 milliseconds. It has no melee attack. His behavior is nearly identical to the Chaingunner, but with a bigger delay between shots. He deals the same amount of damage of 3 to 15 in multiples of 3, and even has the same refire check if you're out of his line of sight. Same odds too, 15% he'll fire for another cycle when you take cover. The Explosive Barrel. Not exactly an enemy, but kinda uses the same template as them. Health 20. Speed 0 map units per second. Width 20 map units. Height 42 map units. Mass 10. Pain chance none. Pain time none. It has no melee and ranged attacks. Simple, when the barrel dies it explodes. The blast radius is 128 map units in length, and the damage dealt depends how big the difference is between you and the explosion's location. For each unit difference between the explosion's origin and the player's origin, that value is subtracted from the initial 128 damage. Again, I'll cover blast damage in a future video because it's not that simple. Romero's Head, the unseen final boss hidden behind the icon's exposed brain. Health 250. Speed 0 map units per second. Width 32 map units. Height 16 map units. Mass 10 million. Pain chance about 99%. Pain time around 1 second. It has no melee and ranged attacks. Nope, no ranged attacks. Romero himself doesn't shoot the spawn cubes. This is the invisible eye that has its own entity. Some interesting things. A mass of 10 million is pretty bizarre, but that's just a workaround to keep Romero's head in its place when hit by attacks. Also, that pain chance. For whatever reason it's set to 255 instead of 256, which means that there's a chance of less than 1% that the Icon of Sin won't scream in pain after shooting a rocket into its brain. That better not happen during a speedrun, or it may give you the feeling that you fricked up. And lastly, Commander Keen. Adrian Carmack's revenge on the cutesy art he had to endure for many years. Health 100. Speed 0 map units per second. Width 32 map units. Height 72 map units. Mass 10 million. Pain chance 100%. Pain time around 345 milliseconds. It has no melee and ranged attacks. Again, just like Romero's head, a large mass is given to keep the Keen in place after getting shot. Nothing special about Keen other than him opening sectors with tag 666 after all of them have been killed. And that's all enemies analyzed. Now it's time for some fun rankings. Let's rank the healthiest enemies first. At the very bottom of the barrel, we have the barrel and the Zombieman. Shotgunner is next with 30 health. Then the Wolfenstein SS, Imp, Chaingunner. Grouped together we've got the Lost Saw and Commander Keen. Then the Pinky and the Spectre. Romero's head is next. Skelly is here. Followed by the Cacodemon and Pain Elemental. The Hell Knight and Arachnotron are also grouped together. Mancubus next with 600 health. Then our favorite Martian at 700. Big Boy Baron next. Spider Mastermind at the near top. And the Cyberdemon's King with a whopping 4000 health. Now let's rank the speed demons. The Immobile Ward goes to the Barrel, Romero's Head and Commander Keen. Our roaming Lost Souls next. Zombieman and Mancubi are slow. A big group coming up: Shotgunners, Chaingunners, Imps, Cacodemons, Hell Knights, Barons, Pain Elementals and Wolfenstein SS. The Arachnotron and Spider Mastermind are next. We're going faster now. Pinkies, Spectres and Revenants share this group. Cyberdemon is not only sexy, but also fast. Even faster is the Archfall. Look at it go! But wait, we're going even faster. Turbo Pinkies and Spectres also exist. And at the very top, a charging Lost Soul. Yeehaw! Up next, we rank the thickness. The least thick entry here is the Barrel. 20 map units wide. Sad. The Lost Soul, Romero's Head and Commander Keen also lack thickness. Here's a big group of similarly stacked demons. Zombieman, Shotgunners, Chaingunners, Imps, Revenants, Archviles and Wolfenstein SS. Hell Knights and Barons are next. Then we've got the Pinky and the Spectre. Cacodemon and Pain Elemental are slightly thicker than the previous group. Cyberdemon's next with 80 map units. Yes. Mancubus is thick. Arachnotrons are thicker. And the Spider Mastermind is the biggest mama. She's the real winner here. Now, who's the tallest? Well, John Romero certainly isn't. Barrels also disappoint. Now a big group of average folks: Zombiemen, Shotgunners, Chaingunners, Imps, Pinkies, Spectres, Lost Souls, Cacodemons, Pain Elementals, Revenants, Archviles and Wolfenstein SS. Then we've got the Hell Knight, Baron, Arachnotron and Mancubus. Then Commander Keen, a bit surprising. The Spider Mastermind is a tall woman. But the Cyberdemon is the real Lanclatier. Congratulations. Now for the big Chungus award. At the bottom we've got the Lost Soul. Then we've got the Zombiemen, Shotgunners, Chaingunners, Imps, Wolfenstein SS and Barrels. Pinkies, Spectres, Cacodemons and Pain Elementals are next. The Revenant and Archvile are surprisingly heavy. The Arachnotron is here alone with a mass of 600. Now the big boys: Hell Knights, Barons, Mancubi, Spider Demons and Cyberdemons. And at the top we've got Romero's Head and Commander Keen. Very nice. Now, let's see who has the highest pain tolerance. The biggest softies are the Lost Soul and Commander Keen, with a 100% pain chance. Romero's Head is next. Zombiemen and Imps. Pinkies and Spectres can't stand bullets either, followed by Shotgunners, Chaingunners and Wolfenstein SS. Cacodemons, Arachnotrons and Pain Elementals have a tolerance of 50%. Revenants are still fairly fragile. Mancubi are also quite easy to poke. Now for the sturdier demons, Hell Knights and Barons. The Spider Mastermind is somewhat tough to stun. Cyberdemons even more. Archviles don't even care anymore. But they cannot beat the Barrel. 0 pain chance. And last but not least, the whiniest demons. Whose pain duration lasts the longest? Well, Barrels don't give a crap, so they win for sure. Turbo Pinkies and Spectres are also barely stunned. Imps, Pinkies, Spectres, Hell Knights and Barons recover from their pain quickly too. Zombiemen, Shotgunners, Chaingunners, Lost Souls, Arachnotrons, Mancubi, Spider Demons, Wolfenstein SS don't do so bad either. Revenants, Archviles and Cyberdemons are pretty whiny. Not to mention the Pain Elemental, Cacodemon and Commander Keen, 1/3 of a second busy flinching. But the biggest crybaby award goes to Romero's Head. 1 second of crying in pain. Boo-hoo. This just shows how varied and unique Doom's enemy roster is. Even the tiniest variation in attributes can alter the gameplay. Low pain chance? Use a super shotgun to increase the odds of flinching. Slow speed? Use rockets as they're easy targets. Wide targets with a lot of health? BFG them up close to maximize the amount of tracers. Stuff like that. May this information improve your demon slaying skills. This video was a lot of fun to make and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you for watching, thanks to the patrons, and shoutouts to 19day, Anarchy, Andrew Yukimchuk, Andri Dicklin, Art Cox, Beaks Make Me Coom, Brett Bozart, Ryan Thompson, Kappa Bitch, Christophine Place, Cyprian Rusen, Doom Dude, Gooch, Haroshi, QuakeGamer62, Raven King, Scarebank, Steven Alustik, Super Kunata, Teko Kami, Timofey Olegovich Gerasimov, Turbine 2K5, Victor Rikmoe, Vintage Pink, and Vladimir J. Erkov. See you all in the next one.